Playing the first concert in the Vineyard Series, I mean, that's got to be a cool deal.
Totally. I mean, we've been fortunate. Like, there's another sort of a winery in Napa that we've done at the Mondavi wineries. We've done a couple, and I feel like it's just, I mean, to me, you give me summertime outdoor show, that's my happy place. You know what I mean? To be able to, you know, we do a lot of what we do in the colder months of the year inside, and those shows are awesome. But there is something really beautiful about being in a natural environment and having people, you know, excited and having a little to drink.
So is this your first time, other than playing Jack's Mannequin back at Notre Dame, is this your first time in Michiana area, in this area?
I mean, the short answer is yes, I think so, but the longer answer is I've played, this is my 19th year on the road, so there's also a good chance that I've been somewhere in the neighborhood and just don't remember. I mean, I've definitely played a lot in Michigan, but I don't recognize the neighborhood here, and I didn't recognize the name of the towns we were driving into last night. So
for you, what does that mean to you, playing these intimate venues?
Well, I mean, I look at every show as just an opportunity to connect to people, and you know, for us, I like everything. It's like I've gotten, you know, I've been lucky enough that I've been able to play in like a stadiums and in arenas and small venues and do acoustic shows, and so I think, you know, what I really look forward to when it's something like this is that a lot of times when you do like a winery or you do a place that already has sort of a natural environment that people know, like are familiar with, that a lot of times you'll get people out who maybe wouldn't necessarily buy a ticket to see my show if it was in a club somewhere, but are like, hey, you know, we're gonna be able to have a glass of wine and be in this beautiful environment, and so I look forward to the opportunity to kind of draw in some new people, make new fans, and then, you know, for the fans that are diehards that are buying tickets and coming out, to just give them a killer show.
I mean, what is for you, if you're reaching somebody for the first time or you're reaching somebody for the 16th time, yeah, what is the hope for you as they walk out of the gate after the show? What do you hope that they leave with?
I always want a concert to feel like a really sort of deeply connected experience, something that's super dynamic, that, you know, at some point in the show, like, you're really, like, you're hearing a song that's hitting you right here, and you know, and bringing up a memory or something, you know what I mean, something that really connects you to yourself, and that there are these moments of like just joy where you feel moved to dance, and where you feel excited to be in a room or a space with a whole bunch of people celebrating something together, you know. I think, especially now more than ever, with like living in a world where I think there's a lot of people who feel like they're pitted against their neighbors, I think the beauty of live music is that you get people of all walks of life into a space and they can agree on something, hopefully, which is like, we're here to have fun, we're here to enjoy not only a band and enjoy music, but we're here to enjoy each other, you know. And I know that sounds like a lofty ambition, but I do think that music is you know, above all things, is a really healing thing to experience, especially in a live environment. And you know, my goal is always that people leave with a smile on their face and feeling like they saw something and had a night that they weren't going to get otherwise if they hadn't shown up.
So after the stem cell surgery and the transplant, how do you think your writing shifted? How do you think that energy shifted, and what songs do you think after that point for you hit that note, hit home?
Well, you know, I mean, I would be lying to say writing was easy after you know, my transplant. I think as a young person, especially, I mean, I was 22 when all that happened, you know, 22 turning 23, and being like a young person was so much, I mean, for me, I have tons of energy, I still have tons of energy, but like at that point, I mean, it was, you know, I could stay up for days and work and just, and go, and, you know, really had a sense of like, you know, nothing could hurt me. You know, you have that sense a lot of times when you're young, and I certainly did. And so I think finding out that I was sick and having to go through that process of realizing, you know, how fragile my own mortality was, it certainly made it hit the confidence pretty hard for me, you know, and confidence is something you need to create, you know, and so it took a lot of years to build that back, you know, and in those years, I mean, there's a reason why the records that followed my diagnosis and survival took a lot longer to come by, you know. It hasn't really been until the past 3 or 4 years that I've been able to like just consistently write and release material, you know, and but songs like Swim and The Resolution off the Glass Passenger record were very big for me from a healing standpoint. I mean, there continue to be songs throughout sort of my catalog that you know, that will occasionally dip back into that time and speak to those moments. You know, a song like Cecilia and the Satellite references that period of time, and you know, I've made a pretty significant piece with it at this point, but you know, it does change your approach to your craft and your approach to living when you've seen something like that, especially at a young age.
Because of that, the Dear Jack Foundation started, and now this year you're up to $300,000 what you want to raise, and so talk about the impact of that and making people aware of that all over the nation.
What I encountered in my sort of cancer journey and through my survivorship was obviously something that a lot of people who go through these things are, which is you're galvanized to try and make a difference. And so I pretty much immediately started this foundation. A lot of it was inspired by fans that had sort of stepped up and started doing fundraising, you know, wristband fundraising, all sorts of things. It was like, okay, there's a real will here amongst the people who saw me walk this road to make it better for other people. And so I sort of took that on and began the process of really researching what happened to me, what it looks like for other people who are in my same position. And what I found was that adolescents and young adults, so people ages 15 to 39 years of age, this is a demographic of cancer patient that, unlike every other cancer patient and every other demographic, have seen almost no improvement in their survival ratings over the last 30 years. They're the most under-researched, most underfunded, have the least resources as far as the psychosocial services and care that they need, are least inclined to seek help when they need it. And that seemed to me, especially as I got further out of treatment and realized that the survivorship component of what I had gone through was so brutal, it took a huge toll on my marriage. You know, I found myself with post-traumatic stress and dealing with a whole host of other issues that were outcroppings of my treatment. And so what Dear Jack has sort of set out to do is open up this door for young people who are going through this process and say, you know, look, what you're going through is real. There are all sorts of issues that go along with being a young person who's sick. There are a lot of things that you're going to deal with that other people who deal with this disease don't. And we want to build programs for you and be there and build a community around you.
What is Paper Rain? How did you write Paper Rain? What is the song about?
I mean, truthfully, it's it's money. That's the Paper Rain. And I kind of came at that song. I mean, there was some of it's very personal. Others of it is other sort of elements of it are kind of this fictionalized idea of a family struggling, you know, where they can't make ends meet, and this idea of what I think is, you know, being a sort of gambler by nature, and take that as you will, having those moments where you're kind of pulling at your collar, wondering like, where am I gonna pull this from, or how are we gonna make this all come together and pay those bills, etc. And it became this sort of fiction tale, but that is born of I think a mindset that I'm familiar with and that I grew up with, where it was like, well, either we can, you know, fold it all up right now, or we can just try and take everything that we've got and go put it on like one really bitchin' game of poker, you know, or go hit the craps table and just try and win it all back and more.
So now you're kind of in between. You got the 3, 3, 3, right? There's a pattern. Where are we going from here is the next question.
You know, I've written a ton of stuff. I'm currently in the process of scoring a television show, so I've been composing all summer.
What's that about?
I don't think I don't know if I'm allowed to say the what and all of that yet. I think that's not for me to announce, but it's been sort of what's taken up the last 3 or 4 months for me, and that's been a really exciting sort of shift and just such a learning experience to be sort of 36 and all of a sudden going like, I'm going to learn how to use my brain in a way that I've never used it before, and writing the picture has been such a just so much fun for me. So that will come next in a sense. That'll probably be like one of the next sort of things you hear of from me. And then the next thing is I'm going to find a way to get some new music made. I don't know what that looks like. I feel like in an abstract sense, I hear a sound in my head, and I have the makings of some songs that I'm really excited about, but we'll have to kind of dive into that come end of September, October, once I've sort of wrapped up this composing gig. Once the summer wraps up, I'll start getting a clearer picture of new music, but I don't think people have to wait too long to hear some new songs.
Give me a final for the USC Notre Dame game this year.
If you know anything about me, you'll know that the only reason I know what you mean is because I grew up in a house with people who liked athletics. I like basketball, and that's about it. And even still, I don't really follow. I just don't. There's a reason I grew up playing piano. It was because I could not. My hand-eye coordination elsewhere was completely useless. Swinging a bat or catching anything was a good way for me to be injured and upset. So I stuck with the. I stuck with that. Yeah.
That's a good segue. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Of course.